Look closely at an organization functioning in perfect, uninterrupted equilibrium. Every process, department, and individual operates like a gear in a synchronized system. But that balance is rarely permanent. External pressures, shifting consumer needs, sudden economic downturns, or new government regulations act as vectors that disrupt this mechanical balance. The gears lock up. The system has to adapt. Organizational change alters three interdependent pillars: people, structure, or technology. Notice the triangle. You cannot swap out legacy software without simultaneously altering structural workflows and demanding new skills from people. Pulling one side inevitably pulls the others. To manage this friction, organizations rely on change agents. These are the specific individuals, often managers or outside consultants, tasked with acting as catalysts. They assume direct responsibility for managing the transition process from one state to the next. True adaptation requires a structural overhaul of the system, moving far beyond isolated software updates or localized policy tweaks. Every organization exists within a force field. It operates under constant tension between driving forces that promote a new direction and restraining forces that pull the system back to the status quo. Those restraining forces usually take the form of resistance from the workforce. Employees resist because they fear a personal loss of status, prefer the comfort of old habits, or face ambiguity about what the new system requires. To overcome these restraining forces, psychologist Kurt Lewin developed a three-stage model to map the process: unfreeze, change, and refreeze. The strategy here is straightforward. Before you can build a new operational standard, you must first intentionally disrupt the current one. A successful transition relies entirely on a calculated approach. Management has to simultaneously amplify the driving forces pushing the company forward, while systematically neutralizing the internal resistance holding it back. The first phase is unfreezing. This is a critical preparation period where existing mindsets and entrenched habits require active breaking down. You cannot reshape solid ice. During this phase, the primary task for a change agent is to generate a sense of urgency. They do this by making the workforce acutely aware of current inefficiencies, external pressures, and the risks of doing nothing. The immediate objective is to create enough discomfort with the status quo that employees willingly loosen their attachment to their old ways of working. But discomfort alone creates panic. It must be paired with clear, honest communication about the benefits of the future vision to build initial support and readiness. Without successfully executing this unfreeze stage, the organization remains too rigid. If you skip this preparation, employees will simply reject the new systems the moment they are introduced. Once the organization is unfrozen, it enters the actual change phase. This is the period of transition where the new behaviors, processes, and systems are physically implemented across departments. This chart models the emotional journey of change over time, tracking an employee's self-esteem as they are forced out of their comfort zone and into an unfamiliar workflow. As the reality of the transition sets in, individuals experience an immediate psychological descent. They begin in denial, move into anger over lost routines, and sink into confusion as they try to navigate systems they don't fully understand yet. The friction compounds until the curve bottoms out in depression and crisis. This is the most dangerous point of the transition. This crisis is a predictable feature of the transition itself. Uncertainty peaks here, making employees highly vulnerable to abandoning the new process entirely. Managers must navigate the workforce through this psychological trough, expanding their role beyond technical troubleshooting. Driving through that trough produces stress. In an organizational context, stress is the psychological and physical pressure resulting from extraordinary demands, constraints, and ambiguity placed on employees during the change phase. However, not everyone experiences or exhibits that pressure in the same way. An individual's reaction to workplace stress is largely dictated by their core personality type. You will generally see two profiles. The Type A personality is fast-paced, highly competitive, and prone to severe stress responses when their routines are disrupted. Contrast that with the Type B profile, individuals who are naturally more relaxed, patient, and collaborative under pressure. The symptoms of this stress manifest visibly on the floor. Employees might experience physical exhaustion and sleep disturbances, or display deep irritability, loss of confidence, and heightened emotional sensitivity.
Because they are highly sensitive to goals and timelines, Type A individuals may become quickly frustrated or hostile as deadlines approach amidst the confusion. Type B individuals, valuing steady progress, are often more adaptable to the messy reality of the process. Change agents have to identify these distinct, personality-driven stress responses. Treating every employee the same during a crisis ensures failure. You have to tailor the coaching, mentoring, and support to the specific profile in front of you. To push the workforce out of that crisis dip, managers rely on a specific toolkit of behavioral techniques designed to reduce resistance. Selecting the right tactic depends entirely on the source of the friction. For instance, if the resistance stems from a lack of facts or rampant rumors, the change agent should deploy education and communication to clear up misunderstandings. When employees are anxiety-ridden or fearful of the new expectations, facilitation and support can ease their adjustments. Alternatively, if the workforce has technical expertise that management lacks, using participation builds direct involvement and acceptance. There are also aggressive tactics. If a powerful internal group opposes the change, management might resort to negotiation to buy commitment, or in high-urgency situations, direct coercion. But these carry steep disadvantages, risking high costs and severe damage to the manager's credibility. There is no single universal solution for resistance. A competent change agent evaluates the social context, resource availability, and urgency of the organization, and then selects the tactic that fits those exact situational factors. This brings us to the final stage of Lewin's model, refreeze. Here, the active transition ends, and the new state is deliberately stabilized and embedded into the company. If you skip this step, the organizational force field we discussed earlier will do what it naturally does. It will pull the system straight back to its original, comfortable habits. Refreezing requires formal mechanisms. Management establishes strict new policies to codify the workflows. They provide ongoing training to sustain the new skills, and critically, they deploy recognition and reward systems specifically for the individuals who adopt the new processes. This is when the psychological curve finally trends upward. Employees emerge from the crisis, move through acceptance, and eventually reach a state of new confidence as the unfamiliar systems become their new normal. Refreezing takes a successful, chaotic transition and locks it into place, transforming an experiment into a permanent standard of operation. Ultimately, organizational change is a dual process. It is the simultaneous mechanical restructuring of workflows and the psychological transition of the people executing them. Friction, resistance, and the drop in morale are structural features of the transition. Navigating that reality requires effective management. You have to rigorously align the macro goals of the restructuring with the localized micro-psychological support required to get your employees through the trough. By diagnosing the specific forces at play, mitigating personality-driven stress, and mastering the mechanics of unfreezing, transitioning, and refreezing, a manager moves past merely surviving a disruption. They become the catalyst that actively drives it.